Looking a bit fresher, feeling a little better. So let's go over the weekly wildcard project for you guys lucky enough to have your wildcard over an international break that has so many injuries. Hello and hope you're having a great Tuesday. What is up, guys? And welcome to the weekly wildcard project for game week 9, where we attempt to build a wildcard team that will do well for the foreseeable future, that will help you guys if you are using your wildcard this game week. And I mean, if you have your wildcard spare, well done, because this international break has taken out a few players, hasn't it? But before we get into the team that I would build if I was playing my wildcard, if you do enjoy the content here on FPL Today, please do consider hitting that like button, subscribing, and hitting that bell for FPL, and let's get into the video. So we start off the video series, as always, looking back at how my previous wildcard project teams have done, to see if any of them would have done significantly well over the up and coming game weeks after I built them. And we can see that last game week we built this side that is on the screen right now, and that side would have got us 71 points without a captain. So even with under in there, I don't know why I picked under. Somehow this team still got 71 points. A lot of that is to do with Souček coming in for under, but still, we'll take the win while we can. So, a very good performance from our Game Week 8 team. Our Game Week 7 team is now on 125 points, and our Game Week 6 Wildcard Project team is on 173 points. This means our Game Week 6 side is on an average per game week of just under 58 points. Our Game Week 7 side is on an average of 62.5 points per game week, which means currently our Game Week 8 side is the best performing side. However, it's only performed for one game week, and of course there are some injuries that are going to affect it in game week 9. But enough about that side, let's actually discuss the side that we are going to pick for our wildcard in game week 9. Now, there are players that are going to stay in the side, and yes, there is the inclusion of Mohamed Salah, because I think he is quarantining and there is no point in taking him out of the side long term, especially if you've got value built up in him. If you don't have value in him, then I can understand potentially moving to Mane, or maybe even Jota if you fancy that punt. But if you have value in Mohamed Salah, I would personally just bench him if you have a strong enough bench in place. Also staying in the wildcard project team is Martinez, Cancelo, Cresswell, Grealish, Calvert-Lewin and Bamford, who I think have all done enough to keep their places in this team, as well as the bench, which isn't changing. Souček came in clutch in game week 8, and Dallas and Kilman still, to me, are some of the best options in that 4.5 million and under bracket as far as defenders are concerned. So who would we actually bring into our side, considering we've taken out the likes of Chilwell because of an injury concern, as well as who is replacing the likes of Son and Kane, who have been taken out, as well as Under, who has a very brief stint in our actual wildcard project team and is taken out pretty quickly. So the first player we are going to bring in is going to be Lucas Digne at 6.1 million. Now, I did want to bring in Chilwell in this spot, which of course I did in game week 8, but because of that injury, I think for now, putting someone in like Digne is a decent placeholder for you if you are wildcarding in Chilwell. However, if you are actually already a Chilwell owner, I would wait for news on his injury, because I wouldn't transfer him out if you've built up value in Chilwell. Of course, he started the game at 5.5 million, so if you now own him, considering he's at 6 million, maybe you should hold on to him for now, a bit like Salah. Of course, you might not have that option if you have too many injury concerns. However, if you can, I would hold Chilwell until we hear more. Looking at Digne's stats, they're not amazing to be fair, but a lot of these stats have come from a period where James Rodriguez and Richarlison and Seamus Coleman were not in the starting 11. But now that a lot of the key players in that Everton side are coming back, I fancy Digne's chances of getting some returns. He has still managed to get 2 assists in the last 6 game weeks, and also has an expected assist at 0.97 with a goal involvement at 22%, but his goal threat is very, very limited. However, of course, there is always the chance that he does get given the opportunity to take a free kick, and we know what he can do every now and again when he gets that opportunity. So coming into the midfield to replace Heung-min Son is Kevin De Bruyne. Now, Kevin De Bruyne isn't, again, the first option that I would have brought in. It would have been Raheem Sterling, just because I think his goal threat would have been beneficial to pick ahead of Kevin De Bruyne. But with Raheem Sterling, also with a niggle, a slight injury concern, I would say De Bruyne is the safest Manchester City option. And of course, this is to take advantage of their good fixture turn after the Spurs fixture. Now, of course, you could bring him in next game week instead of for this one. However, if we're playing a wild card, I think getting a Man City asset in now could be beneficial as they might rise in price. There is a small part of me that is not keen to get rid of a player that has been in good form for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, who hasn't been in good form, but Son, with the fixtures coming up, just doesn't seem like, to me, a good pick if you also have Harry Kane. And Harry Kane isn't necessarily a good pick if you already have Heung-min Son. And if you have a wild card, potentially there's a benefit in getting rid of both. Now, of course, you could also put Bruno Fernandes in this position, who is a player in form with a good next fixture. And if you were a form over fixtures player, Bruno Fernandes is the guy with the form right now. And we'll have a look at both of those players' stats. But before we do, if you do like the stats on this channel and you want access to them yourself, please do check out, top link in the description, Fantasy Football Hub, which is where FPL Today gets all of its stats. Here's a quick video from them. All the data on FPL Today is taken from the Fantasy Football Hub, with tools such as player comparison to choose the best players out of two options, Opta stats tables to see who could be hitting form soon and who will be amongst the goals, and a fixture ticker so you know who has not just the form but also the fixtures to match, and so much more, like articles and coverage of other fantasy football games. Ask yourself why you haven't joined the Fantasy Football Hub. It's just £2 a month to unlock your FPL potential. So do go check out Fantasy Football Hub. Link is in the description, top link. And it does support the channel if you do use that link in the description, which helps me continue to make content. So thank you, Fantasy Football Hub, for being a partner of this channel. So looking at the stats, now there's no goals for Kevin De Bruyne in the last 6 and only 2 assists, which isn't great numbers for an £11.5 million midfielder. He has, however, had 15 shots, but only 2 of those have been on target and only 1 big chance has fallen to Kevin De Bruyne, which isn't ideal. Expected goals at only 1.07 also isn't what we want to see, and expected assists at 1.85. These are really not good numbers for Kevin De Bruyne. Goal involvement is at 33%, which shows Man City haven't really been firing on all cylinders, but there's always the hope, and with the fixtures coming up, the possibility that they do start to find the back of the net, and then potentially those of us that don't own Man City options could find ourselves hurting as we drop down the ranks. So that is why I do like the idea of Kevin De Bruyne, but of course you could also consider Bruno Fernandes for this position. Now, Bruno Fernandes has much better underlying stats with 5 goals in the last 6 games, 3 assists, 17 shots on goal, with 9 of them being on target and 4 big chances. His expected goals is at 3.53 and expected assists at 2.01, much better figures than Kevin De Bruyne, and goal involvement at 73%. So there's no doubting Bruno Fernandes' consistency so far this season. So who comes in for my amazing pick from last wildcard project, Under from Leicester? Now, not many people can replace such an amazing pick that didn't even feature in Game Week 8 Under, but I think this man is a bit of a risk as well, but a bit of a safer risk, and that man is Diogo Jota at 6.5 million for Liverpool. Now, with Salah potentially being out, Diogo Jota could be a nice pick for Game Week 9, and also he has been starting some fixtures even when Salah, Mane and Firmino are all fit. Now, at 6.5 million, an attacking player from the Liverpool side, I think for a couple of weeks it might be worth the risk just in case he does keep his first team place, and then you've got in early. If he doesn't keep his first team place, I don't think he's going to drop in price drastically, and you could pick someone else. By that point, there might be a more obvious option at 6.5 million to bring into your sides. So I really like the idea of bringing in Diogo Jota on a wild card. Taking a look at the stats, his stats despite his lack of minutes still are quite impressive. 3 goals with no assists, 13 shots on goal so far with 7 on target in the last 6 game weeks, with 3 big chances and expected goals at 2.10, which for 6.5 million midfielder is pretty good, and expected assists at 0.47 and a goal involvement of 25%. Now it is a punt of course, and there is the possibility that his game time isn't secure, but there is a possibility he is starting to get nailed on, and then you've got a Liverpool attacker for 6.5 million in your midfield, which I think is just fantastic value. And then finally, we bring in the man Jamie Vardy to replace Harry Kane. Now, he is slightly cheaper at 10.1 million, which does allow you to make moves elsewhere. And also the fact that he has some great underlying stats that aren't necessarily as good in some areas as Bamford or Harry Kane, but in other areas actually surpasses them. Now, Leicester City are on a good run of form at the moment and look like potential title contenders again, which I didn't think I'd be saying anytime soon after their Premier League win about 5 years ago. But Jamie Vardy is the man that seems to be involved when Leicester City score and has proven himself in the Premier League before. If we have a look at his underlying stats, we can see a man that has an amazing amount of big chances compared to his actual shots on goal. 13 shots on goal, 10 big chances in the last 6 game weeks. He's managed to get 6 goals from 10 shots on target and 2 assists to add to that as well. Expected goals is a 5.78, and of course you don't get much assist threat from Jamie Vardy, but his goal involvement is at 73%, similar to Bruno Fernandes, which backs up the fact that we all know Jamie Vardy is the talisman at Leicester City, and I think if you're going to replace Kane because of Kane's bad fixtures, Jamie Vardy is the man to be looking at. And how much will this team cost you? Well, it will cost you 101 million. Now, yes, it's possible that you don't have that kind of cash, but if you've been playing the game and getting in the right players at the right time over the previous 8 game weeks, you should be able to afford a team at 101 million. If I made this wildcard team, I would actually have enough in the bank to potentially move to an upgrade on Jota with about 0.7 to 0.8 in the bank still. And also the likes of Bamford or Calvert-Lewin could be upgraded. And having cash in the bank spare is always helpful. In total, that's 34.2 million spent on the goalkeeper and defence, which you could cheapen down by getting rid of someone like Cancelo or Digne, who I don't think are necessarily essential. I'm a fan of Cresswell at the moment, but as well, I don't think I could really argue that Cresswell is essential either. So you could make this defence even cheaper by only having 2 premium choices, or only 1 depending on how you want to play the game. Midfielders 42.8 million, forwards 24 million. So again, you could save a little bit of cash in both areas if you wanted to change formation, or potentially just bring in a slightly cheaper 4th midfielder or 3rd striker. So guys, in the comments down below, let me know what you think of this wildcard project side for game week 9. Do you like it? Do you agree with some of the picks? And do you think there's any players that I have missed? Also, if you have enjoyed the content here today on this video, please do hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for FPL. And check out the channel for the team selection video as well. Your support on that has been amazing. But if you haven't seen it, go and check that one out. It should hopefully be on the end of this video for you to click and watch. And also check out top link in the description for Fantasy Football Hub, who have partnered with this channel and have been great support and is where I get all of my stats from. With that being said, I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.